Moises Ballesteros is just 21 years old, and I genuinely don't think people are paying enough attention to what he's doing right now. 47 games into his MLB career through April 30th of 2026. Through a 162 game base, he's hitting .320 with a .393 on base, a .555 slugging, and his OPS plus is 173. For reference, the average is 100. He's at 173, so he's statistically 73% better than the average hitter as just a 21-year-old starting his career. And because of that, his name keeps coming up in comparisons, and there's only one that I think really stands out for him. And it's David Ortiz, Big Papi. And yeah, I know it's less than 50 games, but you can't just write it off. The comparison goes way deeper than just a huge lefty bat who hits absolute piss rockets to the moon. Here's what most people forget about Big Papi is before Boston and before he became one of the best hitters in all of baseball history, he spent 6 seasons with Minnesota, just kind of floating, and he was good. He was a solid hitter, a full-time first baseman for them. But a full 162 game pace, he was hitting .266, a .348 on base, a .461 slugging for an OPS plus at 108. The Twins liked him, but they couldn't quite pull the trigger on making him the guy in Minnesota. So after 2002, they just let him go. He was 27 years old and went to Boston and ended up becoming one of the greatest hitters to ever live. That's the part that correlates to Mo Baller, because when you look at Ballesteros just 47 games in, the offensive profile is just too good that it's hard to not compare him to Papi because of how good of a hitter he is this early compared to when Ortiz came up. He was only averaging 10 homers a year compared to Mo, which on his 162 game pace is already averaging 24 home runs. Big frame, left-handed, natural leverage in his swing, physically, stylistically, is all pointing back to Papi in a certain way. And then you pull up their Savant pages, it gets genuinely interesting because Ballesteros this year is sitting in the 91st percentile in hard hit rate, 85th in sweet spot percentage, 85th in X slug at just 21. That kind of plate awareness and power is really rare in a 21-year-old just 50 games into his career. Now when you compare that to David Ortiz in 2016 in his final season, which was honestly one of the best individual offensive seasons you could see out of a first baseman at almost 40 years old, he was 100th percentile in xWOBA, 100th percentile in slug, 94th in hard hit rate, and 92nd in walk rate. Everything just completely maxed out for him. Ballesteros isn't there yet, and that's fine. That's not the point of this video. The point is that the shape of the profile looks similar, the contact quality, the power, the way he uses the entire field. It looks eerily similar to Ortiz in a different way. Now, of course, they're not the same, but early David Ortiz who struggled to hit for power, and when you're seeing Ballesteros doing what he's doing already, just 50 games into his career, and that purely good of a hitter, there's definitely drawing comparisons between the two. The one thing Mo needs to work on a little bit is his walk rate. He's sitting around the 46th percentile there, but Ortiz didn't crack that part of his game open until his late 20s either, so there's definitely a runway for Ballesteros to get better. So he definitely has years to grow and years to become a better hitter than he already is. Nobody is saying that Ballesteros is going to be Big Papi, but if you're trying to find a ceiling for the type of player this kid might be, or the kind of hitter that he's projecting towards, David Ortiz is not a crazy place to look. The power is real for Mo. He already has 5 homers and 5 doubles while hitting over .330 in 2026 so far. Again, this is through April 30th. He's built like an absolute cannonball, just like Big Papi. Mo's bat in that Cubs order, alongside Bregman, Suzuki, Bush, Nico, Ian Happ, Pete Crow Armstrong. That core has a real shot at being one of the best offenses in the entire league, not to mention the similarities that Mo and Papi have. If Mo becomes a type of hitter like Papi was, the Cubs might be one of the best offenses in the entire league. They're both from the Dominican Republic. They both have the sole purpose of producing offensively and not necessarily defensively for their teams. We'll have to see whether that 40 or 50 home run pop comes in for Mo like it was for Papi. But we know that he has the tools to hit over 300 or hit 30 plus tanks, and he's only a rookie. The Cubs definitely have something here, and we'll have to see how Mo performs for the rest of 2026.